recording this round of Decoding with Dregz. Hell yeah. I know it's, probably should have shouted it out. Damn. Yeah, what a crazy week. Definitely an exciting one for crypto, that's for sure. I've been feeling the joys again. Let's see, share this.
I was just watching the Raoul Paul live video on Twitter just now before I entered here. And he's all about don't fuck this up this time. And he's showing so many macro statistics and stuff that you're like, oh yeah, we haven't seen anything yet.
No, we've been here for this long. We've seen what it can do in the past, and I think all this time and all the patience we've had, I mean, if this was all for nothing, if crypto was a useless piece of shit, it would be done. I think we saw the times that it would have been rejected and worthless. So I think sure, it could go lower, but I definitely believe more that it can go higher. So I think if you're still here, you're doing something right.
Yeah, he made the point that you see influencers and people talking about it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down. But that's like, it depends on time horizon,
Yeah.
And the ones who are saying it's going down, it's most probably just very short-sighted,
Yeah, because
and then you can fall for it.
It's people with probably taking a little leverage and watching those like margin rates or margin fees like bite into their trade. So then you're really, really dependent on things going quicker. Like I catch myself doing that sometimes, even on smaller leverage stuff and over a longer time horizon. You're sitting there watching it, going, I don't know. And then your collateral starts getting eaten away because those damn fees sometimes. So that's why spot's king a lot of the time when we're doing these kind of things. But yeah, you're right. Time horizon, man. If you got some time, we're sitting pretty good. Sit it, forget it. Go find a hobby. If you're staring at the charts, it seems like a lot longer, but like, I mean, I just had a little trip or whatever, came back, and damn, it's like so much has changed. Maybe so much hasn't, but that's all right. We're here for a good time and a long time, so. Guess, yeah, we'll definitely get into it, checking out. It's been a while for me. Like I said, it's been 2 weeks. I guess technically 3, I mean, if I was gone, I was gone the 7th or 8th. So, yeah, it's been 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. So, a lot has changed. But this is going to be pretty cool because all the lines and everything I made since what was that? It was on the 2nd. Sorry, on the 2nd. Yeah, we'll see what Thor has said to us then and how we fared, what the charts have done since then. And as we can see, one more time, the 2nd is a good way to just look at the day chart. We're going to look at Pyth. It's just like a nice, easy one here, the 2nd. So on the 2nd, it looks like we were ranging, from 34 cents to 31. We had a long going here. It hit on the 9th and through the 11th, and we came up from there. Did pretty good. That invalidation line, I'm pretty sure we'll see this through a lot of things where the invalidation line got busted through, and that's pretty great. And it's kind of expected to see with the movements we've had. It kind of definitely was the support line. It was a resistance, but now broke through, and it's a strong support. But looks like it broke through down there again. On the 22nd, yesterday, looks like there's a 1-day call for 27 cents. So a bit lower. But all right. Let's see here, 20, let's say 27. lower end there, whatever. Just a rough line, but yeah, 27 looks like a good support. And if we could get wider swings and wider ranges, this is what I love most about crypto. Is yeah, sidelines are all right, but I love the volatility. I love just it going down and up again. Looks like it's kind of predicting a lower high. 33, kind of getting stuck. Probably this resistance line is still playing a role. If it's saying the TP3 is 33 cents, right? Like right where we're at now. It seems like this invalidation line previously is something that's, holding on tight. But because things have changed over 3 weeks, we're going to be moving that line. It says 37.3. So we'll just put 37.3 right there. It's always curious. It's on dancing on these wicks. Definitely looks like a nice support. And again, why I love Thor, it just makes things so concise. Like I could sit here and look, and yeah, I could probably see that with my eyes, but it's just kind of nice to be able to sit there, draw a line, boom. All right, so and then you have the TP sitting at a 31, 32, 33. So kind of in this zone here would be, what do I want to draw? 33, 31 would be, I don't want to say a sell zone, but I'll make it like a gold, kind of like a, maybe a little rectangle there. Be our kind of a long TPs, kind of a long TP box. So maybe you can look at that in the future, see what it hits, because sometimes these calls will disappear when it's hit and gets into that area, so it's hard to reference back. 38, 39, so the 4 hour, that was a little further than the 1 day is a fresher call, maybe takes more time to play out, but the 14th is when these last ones were made, saying 39 and 38. I'm going to leave that 38 there. So how I would approach that is kind of just looking at this resistance line, and I kind of know, hey, this is going to be resistance, so some shorts, but to keep my charts clean, I'll just put the more important one, right? I'll put more emphasis on this sell line, 39, what was it, 39.4? Right around there. And then what we could do there, just make like kind of a sell zone. So it's like it breaks resistance here, but it has to face another line of resistance here too, according to Thor. So using this, I kind of know, all right, cool, we got some buy zone here, we got a TP there, which would end up being that lower high. If it goes down there, maybe dips down, I don't know, but not bad if you're looking at a what is that? Damn, it's been a while. All right. Not bad if you're looking at the 14 to 20% move. That's not bad at all. Or from here, where did it say? Down to 34, 33. So yeah, it's saying kind of the TPs for this, which is interesting, is 35, 5% down to what was that, 33, which would be up here, so 11%. So it seems like this is kind of where it might want to consolidate in the middle there, taking those couple calls. Also, you got the 31, but let's see, with these 4 hours, we got the 29 cents and 30 cents. So 29, which one will do? 30 or 29? I think I'd do the 29. And it could be the higher one, but oops, no, that'd be invalidation for the low. So right now, technically speaking, we have our range. So like 37 cents to 29 cents is kind of what I'm grasping at. Sorry, got a bit of a cold, but yeah, so we got this 37 cents, 29 cents. This is our range. So if we're talking about, little DLMM, if you're doing concentrated pool ranges, we're actually at a nice zone. If you were to do, let's say, just giving an example, if you're doing USDC and Pyth, cool, we got that. And we could switch this over to a Solana chart and do all that if you want to do Pi Sol, but if you're just trying to do a pool that's concentrated using these two lines, being in the middle is the greatest place to kind of start that pool, I would say, because you have that range that you can concentrate up and down, and then maybe, I've been trying to get better at it, is to leave the pool once you're in the middle again. You can get kind of greedy. I've been getting greedy and just saying, whatever, I'll let it ride. But then it gets out of there. Then I have to make a decision. Do I want more of a hard decision when you're using two liquid assets? But USDC is fine if I pull out all USDC. But if I wanted to keep both assets on two liquid kind of things, like if I'm using Kira and Pyth and it's going back and forth, and then all Kira or I'm all Pyth, sometimes it goes back and forth. So sometimes I've been trying to see if it could dance around these zones, and I pull out in the middle on those concentrated pools. That usually ends up being a nice win because I get what I put in plus the fees. Awesome. And then maybe from there, if it goes up, I can hit some TPs, then I could sell the Pyth, use that and rotate, keep my assets rotating, is what's really, I think, the best, especially if you're doing concentration pools. That's something that's really kind of important is, if it's full range, whatever, and if it's a huge range, whatever, but this right here isn't necessarily a huge range. It's about 30%, and if you're keeping it that tight, it's actually not, I wouldn't say super tight, but definitely something that it can bounce away from. And if we're technically speaking, it's about 11% from the top and 13 from the bottom. So that'd be a little quick rundown of how I'd view that using a concentrated pool. You're seeing the same things in the 1 hour. So that's the kind of consensus. That is the consensus that if we break through that 29 resistance, get ready for the 27 to buy and sell here. And if we break through the 37, you got 39 cent zone to sell through, and you're going to sell around this zone too.
You do that here. You did it anyway. What do you call that?
Yeah, you're right. I guess that is the only word that describes.
Oh, yeah.
Quiet.
The bad things got some sound coming out.
You want to go to my holiday?
Oh, yeah. All right. So I was trying to do something, I want to say boring first, but something that's gotten me excited. And I don't know how many calls would be hanging out, just because,
Only longs last time I looked.
Only longs, yeah. It deleted some of the things I saw earlier. But let's just see what happens. So let's go, what is that, 2, that was the second. The last time we were chatting, and that's exactly where I took a long, I took a long there, and not gonna lie, I sold. It was a 2x leverage long, and I was away on a trip, so I had no stop loss. Oh shit. But I did have a TP, and boom, it sold there. So I feel good about that. That was a great move. I think it was a humble 2 or 3x long, so it was definitely a nice play, either 30 to 45% move. I'm not sad about it. But, what could have been, 40%-ish? But who's to say that, hard to tell when you're down here, that's for sure. But what did we see, from Thor is interesting, actually, looking at this. So kind of bought through here. That's where I bought, and it went up, and it kind of failed a little bit, but this line has been there since the 2nd, right? So on the 10th, it bounced off the invalidation line. So again, proof that these things are really strong support. Bounced off of that, which is, I wasn't monitoring it at the time, but it definitely switched up from there. Broke through, met some resistance, it definitely broke through that to 93 cents, but on the 1 day we're looking at right now, and it came back down. Came down further to 81 cents. I'm sure there were some other calls that were developed. I'm pretty sure the 81 cent I think I saw was another call. Bounced up and broke through it. So I'd say the short was true. It did play its role, but for a very short amount of time. and then I think we just broke through. I don't think I saw anything TP in there, but we did have a previous short, and this is why I like to keep them on my thing. This is 114, and the 114 came up a lot, so that's why I didn't delete this line. So before we were super zoomed in, to be honest, I was always kind of looking at it, you know, when we were previously talking about Jupe, we were sitting looking at it like this, or even like that. But now our range, is looking pretty nice. And I would say, I think, again, crazy, right? Look at that invalidation line. It was support or resistance, but it broke through and it became support. Wow. I love it. I love to see it when it works like that. So maybe we continue up. Maybe 114 still holds true. You know, maybe this is something that we see the point where we see some resistance and it comes back down. As for TP, I don't know, but I would assume 97 is a good guess because of how much, you know, support it has. I wouldn't say it's going to take a short from there, but if you've been holding stuff from there and you wanted a swing trade, that's a mighty good swing. But who's to say, right? We'll see if any more calls develop. So 90 cents, or 87 is the new long, right? 89, right around there. That's our new long zone. We did good. That was good, but we clean up the board now. I'll leave this here because I think these always kept popping up. So 70, and let's put it in the 1 day. Yeah, it's been a strong support zone, so I think it's smart to leave it up. I mean, it's not going to hurt me any for leaving those up. And since we're looking at this range right here, perhaps I'm not really getting, my view's not getting crowded. So I always like to kind of keep your charts clean, because then it becomes a bunch of noise, lines everywhere, whatever. So this 114. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this 114. Something I probably look to see it get rejected. I know there was some good times when Jupe was up there with the 130. We'll see if that. Oops, let's zoom out again. Definitely met some strong resistance there, and then let's see what happened in the past with 114. You kind of see some of there. It didn't listen to it all the time, but definitely a zone that could be meaningful. But I think a truer one may be that 130. We'll see how much strength this bad boy has. It is starting to get a little hot in the RSI. If you really follow along with that, that's right down here. Something curious. I mean, in the past, you know, it's good to see what it's done in the past. Sometimes I don't always really take heed to it, because I used to, when I was a little earlier in my trading times, I always kind of lean more into it, like, oh, it's hot, it's gonna come down. But it only really kind of matters if it's been doing that before, right? And sometimes it doesn't listen, so you could try and short when it's right here, but then you'll get maybe shit out of luck when we zoom past some of those zones. So maybe it comes back down and bounces off this yellow line and we go back up. But that's just something to look at. Not much really to kind of say past that. Looks like if we do hit the 90, right? All right, let's get back in here. I think I should look at the 4 hour. Yeah, this would make more sense. All right, so invalid at $1.07. So we're kind of, this 1 hour needs to break through this invalidation line, right? About one set, yeah, right around there. So hopefully on the shorter time frame it breaks through and we continue our journey up. That's that good indication of gotta get in the way the winds are blowing. But there's 89, and then we got about these two, TP1 and TP2, 96 and 98. And it's interesting because 97, the previous invalidation line that is support, would be that TP, which it looks like, if you can guess, oh good, that's the resistance it's at. So it makes sense that this would be a long TP, as this was a strong support at the moment, but becoming a resistance line. So kind of on the shorter time frame, hoping to break through the $0.08, maybe continue our journey up. Maybe it uses this as some support, but it is a 1 hour, so invalidations on the lower time frame, 15 and minute and the 1 hour aren't something I heed so much, but definitely nice when you're swinging, looking for some kind of barometers in the lower time frames. But that's a good thing to look at. Yeah, with Jupe, that's awesome. I think that's a pretty solid way to look at it. See if it breaks through there, breaks through the top of that. We'll know which way we're going. I think let's watch what happens at the 114, 115 line. I'm kind of curious what it's going to be doing. Solana has been very strong. But let's see. Let's look at the past here. October 2nd was the last we spoke, right? Right around there. And it looks like it just tapped one of our long signals there. It didn't go into our previous zones, one of which I had a nice limits right down here in this lower one, but I was gone, so I couldn't really take advantage of stuff, and I didn't want to put risk on. So, boom, we did hit that. Great. And not sure where the TP was, but looks like we had a resistance line up here too, and kind of a sell zone. I'll scoot that up a little bit more. This was a previous sell zone that we were looking at, and this was a buy zone. Cool. Looks like Thor did its job in letting us know this area was good. Didn't go through it too much, but we continued to go up a bit. Looking at this zone right through here, we have, that box. That was a good area to sell, but it looks like, let's do a lower time frame. Yeah, you can see how, we're just going to get rid of that because we know what's up. It looks like it was kind of dancing within that zone, bouncing off of that invalidation line, now becoming support. So that's something when I see, it just kind of confirms that we are bouncing off of that zone and we're looking really strong. Because I think it took a lot to get past this little pocket. And now that we're there, it's curious to see what's going to happen next. Now, we got the 1 day at 179. Probably delete some of these guys. The time has moved on. I'm keeping that because it always kept popping up. So if we ever get there again, I'll be ready. Let's scoot this guy over. Keep it at 200. I like to have my goals. I like to see that again. That's cool. Sometimes the sell zones could become support, but I think more realistically what I saw, I mean, it did kind of consolidate, try to break through, boom. But I think I'm going to keep that invalidation, just going to keep on drawing. So we're going to get rid of that. Hopefully you didn't short there. We'll see. We got the 179, and its TP on that short actually puts us 162. Interesting, isn't it? Right? Damn. Okay, so our invalidation line we previously put there that became support is now the TP1. It's almost redundant, how much I end up saying it, but it doesn't have to be that difficult. The redundancy is there, but I think that is just proving a point. I think it just proves that there's something to it. And so 52, you can say we got that, like a zone that we could be buying back in at, this little pocket. If it does, I think the indication would be if it breaks through that support line at 162, that maybe buying here. So if you sold some SOL there, or if you just wanted to get in at a good time, using the 1 days is a solid bet. Saying, okay, I'm going to try and buy between 162 and 152. You know, if you're trying to scoop up some more. 135 is its thing. And I think I deleted it, but I'm pretty sure we had, pretty damn sure we had some invalidation lines there too. So I'll just repaint that. This was the higher one, but now they're all support. These are all support and validations now that it's up there. Cool. Ah, would you look at that? Pretty sure that was also the one of the lines that we had drawn. Excuse me, that we had taken off. But it's in play, right? 151, 146, 142. That puts us down a little bit, you know, if that plays out. Right now, if you did take that call, you know, you're about 2% down. We'll see. Kind of a risky short, in my opinion, especially when you have this guy sitting right next to it. Like, I want to be trying to short there when we got a 1 day and a 4 hour correlating. Yeah. So sometimes missing those trades, it's like, oh, it's active, ready to go. Well, the risk reward, you just have a bit more of a reward, or less risk, maybe I would say, if you're taking something like that. So it's, for me, it's about finding the more optimal trade, because I, like many, don't have vast amounts of capital, just never-ending supply of money to throw around at stuff. So I got to be a little more smart, you know, where I'm consolidating my trades. And I've been trying to do it in a way that, you know, when you put in this cash in, it means something. So, yeah, I have some fun trades that might do that are a little smaller, but if we're being real and if we're taking like a trade to make some cash, yeah, definitely I'm gonna be looking for the most optimal. Some people have said, you know, oh, nothing against it, there's plenty of styles. Like if Thor's right 70% of the time, that means if I do 10 trades, you know, 3 are gonna fail, 7 win, and if it's all even, you know, you go up there. But if you're doing percents, I would rather do the one with the wider range and consolidate it, because if you did 10 trades or 3 trades, you know, the percentage I think is still there. And so it's smart to be able to look for the most optimal. So that's why sometimes I'll see a trade. It might be active right now or it might be on the zone, but when we're close to something else, just be a little patient. And there's plenty of times where it never reaches there. And this one was the play to do, and I'm just sitting on my hands. But if you're here for a while, that's the way to do it. And damn, look at that. A 1 day, a 4 hour, and the 1 hour are all talking to each other. So even more of a reason for me not to be super hype on taking that short. You know, if you're looking at things like that. Damn. So, oh, and the 15 minute, excuse me. I don't think I've seen that, where we got a 15-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the 1 day. It's like a straight shot right there.
Can I ask a question, Dregz?
Yeah, of course.
So I saw that too earlier today, and I actually entered a SOL long because of the, you know, it looks like so much conviction from Thor. I'm running a long right now on SOL up to that point. I was thinking 178 just before that. Is that one way to do it as well, you think?
Yeah, I've done it myself a few times actually, especially when things are looking right. It could be a little risky, but if you wanted to take a play and take advantage of a movement, it's not a dumb way to do it. That's another way to kind of look at a call and using it. And sometimes if you're, it depends on your risk level, but front running the call sometimes isn't a bad idea. So like you said, maybe just a little before the 178, because sometimes we see Thor getting there, but maybe 1% off, right? Some variance. And that's okay. Like, you took it at 177.6, just randomly as an example. It's not a bad idea. I've done it plenty of times. I've done it with longs too, where I see a lot of longs getting called. It goes back and forth, but I've definitely sold some when I just see so many longs getting called, like no shorts. It depends. You have to also get the temperament of what's going on, but for this case, I think your head's in the right spot.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, for real. It's very it's what does Sile always say? It's if you're just hanging around that chat long enough, you get to hear him say things. There's philosophy behind Thor, and it really definitely teaches you something. I mean, the dude created it, so it's like, oh, what do you have to say? I'm listening. But it's a tool, right? So it's not a one size fits all for this means this, that means that. You can use it in the most common way, the most easy way. Take a short here, take a long there. But from what we seen from invalidation lines, sometimes if you had no other calls and Thor was closer to 135, yeah, I'd probably take a long at 135. Or in your case, we're seeing it bust through a short. Everything's corresponding to that this range right here. Yeah, take a long. I think that's a big thing. It's just Thor is a tool. Definitely, even with stocks and stuff like that, I've been able to look at, like, I don't have any. Sometimes I'm just looking for something. In the chat, the stock chat kind of goes off, recommending some things, but like, okay, what am I gonna do? Take the best advantage trade, but it tells you kind of where to buy, or some shorts might be telling you where to sell. Or what I guess I mean to say is when everything's super hype, and you're like, where do I get in? And you realize, oh, this thing could have a 10% dip, so I should wait. That again is just another fun way to look at Thor. Nice. Let's see here. I don't know if anyone had any. I know I went through some of the big ones that I liked. I know we just did a couple. We're just looking more in depth. From what I saw, those are the pretty nice ones. I know Jito has been popping off lately, and it has some ranges that are pretty nice. I don't know if I had drawn so much on it, but yeah, there wasn't much going on there. But woof, whenever I did do this, could have been the 2nd of October, but could have been before that. But we were down here. We had drawn a 2.4 short, and we had resistance here at the invalidation line, which may have invalidated this. I think we maybe just had one call. So technically this was invalidated by going under. But for a short period of time, it comes through, and it's still listened to that there. So I'm going to say right here is where we experienced that short. There's 2% variance on the top. It got as good as 15% down. It does have some... Oh, 127. Okay, so I know the date's 10/14, but it must have been a reoccurring call. And then down at the one, yep, look at that. Yep, these are still live from whenever that happened. So we still have some lower calls. Definitely, this was, I think I talked about before, this is my big buy zone. If we do reach this zone for Jito, yeah, might be into it, but Jato or something, probably saying it wrong too, but 4.94 was a resistance line, and the 2.91. Okay, so that's our top one. I think I was looking at that because this one's a bit far away. Let's see a little bit more in depth here. So that's cool, but I think what I'll do is rearrange that lower one to in accordance to this guy here, so $2.07 ish right there. Along at 2. So it kind of just, like I said before, it kind of correlates with like this being a buy zone. So sometimes I see it get like front run at the invalidation lines and it bounces back off of that. It doesn't hit this zone. So that's why sometimes the invalidation is a nice place to take a bite in if you're trying to long or short, depends on which invalidation line we're looking at. And then 152, 148. Oof. Say 148 since it's so. Say 150. So yeah, got a few ones down here to look at, which is interesting. Doesn't make me super excited to long at this point, especially got the 260, another short right here. But we'll get rid of this one. So nice. Now kind of interesting, right? So we're talking about ranges. We got the $2.90 and $2. This is $2.07, we'll say. This seems to be the range that it is in. And it's kind of been, taking the zoom out. You see this 290 has been something going on here. We see interaction there. Definitely broke through it, but we see it kind of listening right through here. Took those lines we're doing. Doesn't listen there. Kind of does there. Meets it there. So more recently, you kind of go back in. It's definitely a good resistance. And this was a good support. But obviously we'll take heed that if we're around here, we could actually dip around to the 190. I know it doesn't say that on Thor, but that's just something you looking at for yourself. So with that in mind, it's kind of being, I want to say unorthodox, but there's no reason not to see that pattern and do that. So you use Thor as kind of a guide and then kind of expand it. So then that would be my buy zone, right? So $2.07 to about 190 seems pretty good. Could go down here, but this is, I feel like, another story once we start dipping into this territory. Though if we do, I mean, it's not game over, right? That's a fat move. If it did get down there, sometimes these like lower calls seem daunting, but the payoff is huge. So it's like sometimes you're sitting here going, well, please do that. Like, let me get that swing, because that's at least for the most part of these looking almost like 100%, on a spot trade. That's quite nice. And we see kind of $2 a one. So that kind of this 1 hour meets us almost in the middle of that buy zone. So that's what happens. Sometimes you can sit here and draw a bunch of lines, but sometimes you just can mesh them together into a good old buy zone. And then from there, when we're dancing in that zone, you can kind of, take your, let's say your intuition, your best judgment call there. To say, hey, we're there, man. You don't have to go all in, but maybe you should bite a little. That's what it tells me, because most of the time I miss it because I wait for a singular line. But sometimes I've seen a play where it's like sitting here going right in the top upper part of it. I'm like, okay, I'll bite here. Then it goes down more and it might dip, but I kind of wait. And if it were to dip through here, you could try again at the 180. Maybe it would work. But for me, if I was bought here and it broke through here, I would wait to the 150. I'd wait for this other like 1 day call to come through, or it wasn't a 1 day, the 4 hour, right? But it looks like the 4 hour is also right there too, that corresponds with the 1 hour. So that's interesting, but zooming in helps us stay focused. And like I said, $2.90 and the $2.07 mark seems to be our range. And if we're doing something other than that, we'll see. And to further that thought, you could think of this as a big old sell zone. Maybe start thinking about it. You don't have to sell, but it's my watch zone. Like, okay, something's happening here. I should be looking at, paying attention to the movement, because there's so many things to look at. Sometimes I'll just have a couple alarms set at a certain price, and then when it pushes through it, it's like, okay, hey, let's take a look. Let's see what happens. Maybe it gets rejected really quick and I miss it, or it starts doing some funny moves in here, and then I could watch it. Maybe set another alarm for another zone. Maybe set some limits for something. But that's just a way to utilize that, because this could be a good sell zone, but what happens if we pass it, right? And that's just another way to look at that. At this point, is it a long or a short? From this point, it depends, of course, what Solana's doing. I think if Solana were to break through that short of like 179, I think we could push this up a bit further. But where it's standing now, I might wait for Solana to maybe take that short at 180, and then I'll be waiting for buys lower on GTO right now. That's just maybe what my best guess is, but I do love the volatility that it produces, because it was, the range of we're at now is about 21% from the bottom. This local 12, but I mean, yeah, almost 30% from the local top, and then 21%. So we're in the middle, So it does produce some fun swings. So I know we're all voting on stuff in the faction stuff coming up. So I have a feeling this one's going to be something to vote on for the vault. But we'll see. We'll see what coins make the list. Yeah, I don't know if anyone had any other coins they were looking at on Thor. This point, if you have anything in particular you wanted to look at more in depth.
Bonk, maybe?
Yeah, let's check it out. Bonk. Alright. On the 1 day, let's go to, let's see, the 2nd of October 2nd. That's where we're at last. So, but right about here. Oof, interesting. Looked like it hovered over our invalidation line. Didn't even touch it. That's okay. We only have, interesting calls. And it looks like this one's still holding on. The 1744, 17.7, 17.41. Yeah, so it's in the middle of these. So that's interesting. Probably going to leave this invalidation up. We don't have a lot of new things to replace it with, as I can see. So these two invalidations, what is this one? Yeah, these are 1 day calls. So it's probably going to sit, 25.7. Alright, we're going to zoom in here. So looks like we kind of found our range really quickly. Let's see. And again, kind of correlated to, sometimes, most of the time, it correlates to Solana. I'm wondering if we do see a little bit of down movement, and I think Solana's down movement won't be as harsh as maybe like Jito and Bonk obviously a little bit more volatile. So I think if Solana does take a little dip, we could see at least this guy playing out. At least between this little box, our little famous invalidation slash long zone. Good little buy box going there, but can't ignore this guy. I mean, shit, sitting.
What do you make of these consistent red candles on the 4 hour? You see that? What can you make of that? Like,
Oh,
PA wise, you see that? Yeah, you see?
Like these right through here.
Yeah,
that's consistent. And you can see the RSI too is really cool. It's not super hot. See, the day isn't done though. You got 3 red candles down. Nothing else is really going up. Make it that. I think on the lower time frame, you could see a bounce up. If anything, you might see if like say Solana goes to that 180 mark, let's just say 179. We could just tap that resistance zone here, and I think it's setting itself up for that. You know, it's not much to really go off of with all those 4 hour ones. Is like, when does it end? But
yeah, okay. I just thought if that meant something in particular. It just kind of looks so weird compared to the rest of the chart at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it hasn't, you know, looking back at the recent times, it hasn't really done that. It hasn't really had those consistent downs, but they seem to be. Oh, I should have the volume. Oh, what did I do with it? Comparatively, it's not super high volume, but definitely enough to be pushing it down a bit. And you kind of looking at the previous ways, if you're making a line right through here. Well, I wouldn't say it's 100% right. I mean, we have plenty that dip through that line. It's just interesting to see that there is, you know, back and forth bounces off of that zone where the RSI is hitting, and we could dip down a little further there. We could see it flip around at the wherever this guy dipped, like 21 or 20. Could be another flip, and then go up to some more. Was that a higher, like a higher low? Yeah, I wouldn't say. I would say that it just has some consistent sell pressure going there. But if you look in the 1 day, I wouldn't put all my money on it like shooting up, because it is still cooking up there. Doesn't mean that it's going down all the way. But I think my conservative approach would mean that it definitely, especially with the 3 day candles going down, I could say that it depends on what Sol's doing. If Solana's going to be doing a flip up, then I think this has got some good pressure to move up to that invalidation line right here. But if not, and if it does kind of remain a little weak, I've seen other coins, you know, just because it's down doesn't always mean it's gonna be a sudden flip up. But we'll see this next 4 hour brings too. We got a little green there, but that's enough sell pressure on the 4 hour to maybe see a little bit of change and maybe have a little bounce too, maybe the 23 to kind of make that little cup. to kind of go back up to where, yeah, so it was right around here, kind of build its base and maybe kind of go back up to something like that, which would be a lower high, which would correspond if Solana did want to push up a little bit more, kind of hit those marks. And then if we hit that short and it holds true, then from there, I guess I could imagine that we could jump back down to some of these, which would kind of make sense. I think that's kind of where I'd be sitting my bets, because it's always with Bonk and like other SBL tokens like, you know, Jito and Jupiter. It's definitely corresponding to what Solana's doing. So using Thor and then checking Solana where we're at with those calls, and then coming back to these could kind of give you another sense of where we might be going. I think that might make sense because it is cooking down, and then Solana could be rocking right back up there too, because I think it still has some room to go up. Yeah. And then we could take a trip down. So I think if it were Solana were to pump up there, we would see some movement up with Bonk too. Should, maybe. And then that short hits, depending on what's going on, and then go down, maybe hitting that resistance and testing that again, or the support. And then see if it hits some of our long calls that we had hanging out there. Yeah, not a lot of calls on Bonk right now, so we're just almost blind, but that's dope. Let's see. I think some of the favorite moves, honestly, I think we looked at had the Pyth call. That could be fun. Jito had something, but yeah, Jupiter and Solana definitely have are what I've been looking at the most. I guess we'll quickly look at Bitcoin too. Let's, see what was going on with this guy. And I've been having so much fun with everything else, I kind of forgot about granddaddy Bitcoin. I really need it to break that 72K mark. This invalidation line is so important to break. If we could break 72K, really fun things are happening. And that's where these one-day calls, these lower one-day calls are. I'm not too scared of them, but I'm more listening to that 72K invalidation to erase these and then create maybe some new highs. I think it's going to take that. Of course, we have some invalidation at, 69K right there too. Probably where this is hanging out. 69.55, yeah, right around there. So that does hold true too. I think this is another good zone to break. I'll draw a line there too, but I really care about that 70. We got, let's see, we're in the 1 hour, but we'll go to the 1 day. The last time we chatted was the 2nd. Yeah, so on the 2nd, we had drawn this 59K line. And it looks like on the 10th, it hit, and it was a great call. Now, maybe not so great as if you took this short, but could still hold true on a longer time frame. But if you took it, you'd be, 5%, but currently 9.9% in the red. But not bad. That's a new resistance line, so I didn't draw it before, so I don't know if it just immediately rejected it, but definitely is now drawn. Probably get rid of this guy. Could be a support, the 66, but we'll get rid of it. 59 could be played out. So let's do 56 right there. And 52. 52 still holding on. This buy box has been here for quite some time now. This little range I keep scooting over. And so is this. And that's, I think, around a little different, but I think something else we drew a while ago. A 4-hour short at 68.6. So here we go again. That close proximity is telling me that that could be a good sell zone once we reoccur there. And if we did hit that zone, being conservative, we'll go on the bottom one, 67. It's 1% to 3% move, so nothing too crazy. Looks like this might be a little bit of a range bound in action that's going on. But let's see, we don't have a short in the 1 day, so where's our invalidation? We'll rock the 65.2. 0.25. There, and cool. So, which kind of makes sense. So, not a lot of, I feel like we will be kind of in this range, but it's good to see that bottom. If we do that, I guess we could be ready for some, some lower calls that could be coming through there too. On BTC, I guess we'll zoom in just a little bit to get rid of that other one, but yeah, looks like this is a little range. You could maybe get another chance to sell there, see if it's a double top on the lower time frame. So if it gets rejected again, we'll definitely probably test that 65. So not a bad move, but if we break through it, cool. But I think we'll definitely have another chance to retest that again, because that's going to tell us what's going on the maybe the kind of medium time frame, at least. So yeah, same call on the 4-hour and the 1 hour, and something similar on the 15. I don't really care about the 15 if we have a 1 hour and a 4 hour so close by it. The ranges aren't too crazy, but definitely good to keep track of what Bitcoin's doing, because it's always nice to see. And then since we talked about that, we'll see if we still got the 1 days. Watching out for Sol BTC. Nice. Let's see. Go to the 1 day. Second, we had a buy zone at the 22. Never really touched it. Don't know the true range. I think I just drew a line, but it could have been higher. Could have touched it, but looks like we were very close on that call. And this is the correlation between Solana and BTC. So Solana is gaining strength, broke through a invalidation line there, and touched a short call. Now, I'm probably more likely to listen to this one. If I was in this call, I'd probably, I don't know. It's hard to say because you just shorted, so that means you just sold some Solana for Bitcoin. Cool. But if we go into 180, so that's now you're looking at the Solana chart and then the BTC. So Solana's got a bit more to go up. So I think if Solana goes up, but the call for Bitcoin isn't as high, I would assume I would stick to my soul and try and take that 27.1. Yeah, we'll bump it up just a little bit. Throw it up there. And then that might be a good zone to switch out. I've been in, I don't know if I've mentioned it plenty of times. I've been in this play for a few months now, honestly, since June or July. I was buying like at the 24. I think the 24 I used a lot of BTC to buy Sol. Then I used the rest of the bag pretty much, to be honest, for this trade right down here at the 20. And personally for me, I'm waiting for my golden targets. You know, I got the 28, the 38. Because that's a nice move, a nice fun spot trade, and I'm not hurting, because what am I doing? I either am holding BTC or Solana, but I'm just churning for a bigger bag of both. So it's a fun little project, but of course it's been 4 or 5 months now, so it takes a long time, but it's on the back burner. And for me, I think leaving here for how long I've been waiting might be too soon. From my point of view, I mean, that could be a good move for me, because it kind of, if it comes back down to TP1, that's one zone I bought with, and then I could try to hold out for like 23. That could be good, but I think I honestly might start shaving the bag at the 28, and that's when hopefully Solana's got a lot of strength, and it could happen if Bitcoin decides to dip and Solana wants to hang out at the upper 170s. So that's kind of interesting in that Solana doesn't need to pump, but it could hold strong as Bitcoin dips, and that could lead us to something like this, which would be a great play for myself. I know these numbers get a little confusing sometimes, but if I had did, let's say 25 and 20, that's about a 2.5 average. If I did, around 50-50, it's a 30% move, and it's a larger bag. So I wouldn't be disappointed with a 30% or a 40% swing. It took a long time, but like I said, I'm not down because I'm not sitting on USDC in the trade. So that's cool. That could be a fun move. But if I can wait it out and get to that 38, let's say the average was 2.5. Oh no, sorry, 22. Yeah, it would be around 70%. Oof, 40 and 30. So those are kind of you see the golden targets. I've been looking at them for a long time, and Thor keeps putting them up. So it's fun. Been getting more into the trades there. It looks like the RSI is pretty cooked on this, but I wouldn't listen to that necessarily all the time. It looks like we could pump up a bit more, which would make me more keen on these two. But yeah, that's a little Solana BTC pairing. Little rundown on that. Sometimes we don't talk about it enough, but I think it's always worth a chat, especially since it's on the back burner, but always fun to look at, especially when Solana is making some big moves and we're seeing a lot of movement come up from it. So yeah, that's pretty solid.